Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the webinar today covering Artificial Intelligence Sprint 1, presented by our dedicated and trustworthy partners in XenTegra. My name is Bill Sutton. I am the Modern Workspace Director for XenTegra. If you have not seen the poll that should have popped up on your screen when you joined, please complete that for us. That'll give us some good information about how to frame so that Lee can frame the discussion. And I'll ask you again about that in just a couple of minutes or so, excuse me. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started real quick. Again, as I said, my name is Bill Sutton. I'm the one on the left there. I'm the Director of Modern Workspaces XenTegra. Also on the webinar today are a couple of folks from our partner XenTegra. I'll let them introduce themselves real quick. Jody Elkins, would you go ahead real quick and introduce yourself to the group?
Absolutely. Thanks, Bill. Good morning and good afternoon to everybody. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks for spending some time with us today. My name is Jody Elkins. I'm the president of the Americas region for XenTegra. High level, we are a global services only organization that exists to help partners like XenTegra deliver more value to their customers like you. So thanks for joining today.
Thanks, Jody. Lee, would you introduce yourself for the group, please?
Sure thing, Bill. Again, wonderful to meet you all. Good morning and afternoon. Lee Foster, I'm the General Manager, similar responsibilities to Jody within the Australia and New Zealand region, and it's my absolute pleasure to be here with you this morning and this afternoon.
Thank you, Lee. All right, I'll go ahead and run through a few XenTegra slides, but then we're going to get to the meat of this, which is what all of y'all are waiting for. For those of you who may not know who XenTegra is, we are a value-added reseller headquartered in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, been around about 12 years or so. In addition to our US-based organization, we have a nearshore organization in Canada called XenTegra Canada. We have an offshore company in India called XenTegra India. Those organizations conduct services and sell product within country, but we can also leverage them to assist with customers that may have a presence in those markets, and we can leverage them as a local provider. In addition, we also have a subsidiary called XenTegra One, focused on the small and medium business segment. Generally, we define that as 250 users or less. And then, of course, we have a managed services division that does full managed services hosting for customers across a number of technologies. If you're interested in any of these, just feel free to reach out to us. So as I mentioned, just a real quick about XenTegra, we are a value-added reseller. We kind of frame ourselves as a VAR 2.0, and what I mean by that is that if you look in the bottom right-hand corner of this slide, we build a community and serve that community, and all of you who are on this call, or whether you know it or not, are part of that community. So we are here to serve you, and part of that is by holding events like this to help provide content to you and educate you on some of the new things that are out there. We do strategic consulting services around all of the technologies that we sell and support, which are listed at the bottom. Some are listed at the bottom. There's a whole lot more than those, obviously. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we also offer managed services, and then of course complementary assessments around all of the technologies that you see here. Finally, and this is my last slide. We are value add, like I mentioned, of our 2.0 model. We do the complementary assessments. We do educational webinars like this one. We do hands-on workshops. We'll be doing a number of those in 2025. So keep your eyes on the XenTegra.com/events page. And we're big on LinkedIn. So if you follow us on LinkedIn, you'll see that. If you don't, please follow us so that you can see all of these items, these events and workshops and webinars before they start. We do a number of vendor-focused podcasts. The one that I host is mostly around Citrix, but we do them around all of the core technologies that we sell and support. And then lastly, we want customers to go to the conferences that we all go to, things like iGel Now and Next, NerdioCon, Microsoft Ignite, HIMSS, some of the other large conferences around the United States. We help customers get there by heavily discounting passes. And if you want to register for a pass for a conference, it's XenTegra.com/conference or conferences. Either one will work. That's all I've got. Thanks for your attention to this part. And now I'll just hand it off to Lee Foster so that he can start his magic. Thank you. Oh, I should add, let me add one thing before Lee gets started. Sorry, Lee. We do have both the Q&A dialog boxes and the chat boxes monitored. So if you have questions, you can put them in either one of those places, and we will try to address them either on the webinar, or if we're unable to, we will follow up with you afterwards. Thank you. Go ahead, Lee.
No problem at all, Bill, and thanks again. Well, as I said, can you hear me? Everyone can hear me okay? So just give me a thumbs up, make sure you can hear me. I'll try and keep as active as I can. Let's bring some energy to this morning. It's a fun topic, and I think lots of people are going to get a lot out of this. There's a statement there from Gartner. It's one of my favorite for quite some time now, and that is that change takes time, and saving time takes change. And that's something really important to remember, because in the world we live in today, time is critical. It's important for those with family or passions or sports. Time means everything. And if you can leverage some of these capabilities and these tools to buy back some of that time, then I'm all in, and I'm sure you will be too. So what I thought I'd start with real quick is just a little bit of fun, but there's a serious side to it too. With the world we're in today, this agentic world, the world of agents and AI and generative AI, and thanks for those who took the poll. Really quickly, I can see that there's kind of 79% of people taking the poll already. I'm saying prompt rookie, which is super, super common. And there's a nice amount of people that are in the prompt pro. You've got the spark now, let's light the fire. So it's a nice spread of people. So hopefully for those that have already got the spark, you're going to find some new and exciting skills here. For those that are new, you're going to get some brand new stuff that you can use and execute straight away. So this avatar, this video avatar is my avatar. His name, he's going to introduce himself for about a minute. And what you'll see, let's put that back over there, you'll see the title at the top, Evolution, November 2024. Now, this avatar just 6 months ago was radically different, for the worse 6 months ago. And 6 months from now, it'll be superior to what you're seeing right now. But being able to leverage these things in your business, when you see this, I'm pretty sure your minds will start to bubble as to where and how can I use this? Think of areas like onboarding new employees into your organization, passing out information across an organization, moving into conversational avatar-based chatbots on your websites and the likes. There's many, many use cases, but let's just hear from Arlo real quick. Good morning or afternoon all. I'm Arlo Inkwell, Lee's digital avatar, and together with XenTegra and Insentra, we are excited to be here. Welcome to the Generative AI Sprint. Today, we're here to help you discover the transformative power of AI in your business. We'll assess where you currently stand with AI, explore high impact use cases tailored to your industry, and identify quick wins to drive immediate benefits. You'll gain practical skills to create and manage prompts, enabling consistent AI-driven results across teams. By the end, you'll have a strong foundation and actionable steps to integrate AI into your workflows, effectively setting the stage for enhanced productivity and smarter decision-making. Back to you, Lee. All right, so that was real quick. That was a minute, but to just so you know, to be able to create that avatar with the voice, the likeness, the movement, and everything else, you can do that nowadays in like an hour or two, and get real fast results, usable results. So pretty powerful. That's video, and there's one more before we get into some of the use cases. In the same way, you heard the voice there against that avatar. Now, that was my voice. It's not a recording of my voice. That is a voice clone. And you'll see a few logos and a few names of different apps and bits and pieces. They're tools in your AI toolbox. 11 Labs is one of those. And this is my voice. It's going to read this script. Now, I'm not going to play all of this. I'll just play the first paragraph. But this is what you can do by just cloning your voice and having your voice read content. Now, real quick, first plug is a book by a chap called Dan Martell, a Canadian, called Buy Back Your Time. Now, he wrote his book using generative AI and his knowledge, and then he had the book narrated instead of paying for hundreds of hours in a studio with a voiceover artist with 11 Labs. All right, so really expediting the ability to get things done with your voice and being able to do that. So I'll play this real quick. Imagine being at the forefront of innovation, not only enhancing your own flow of work, but leading others through a transformational journey. Today, we embark on understanding how AI can fundamentally change the way we work, collaborate, and create value. Right, so you get the point. Hopefully you see that that's the power of just using your voice real quick to get results. And this is the stuff that's evolving almost weekly at the moment. All right, so now given we got a nice mix of prompt rookies and prompt pros, one of the things that we've seen certainly in the last 12 months is this understanding of what AI is and what it can be with ChatGPT and the things that you're seeing in the press and the news and probably even using right now. And then there's this huge gap between how we translate that into business value and how do we actually use this to get results. And one of the foundational elements is why we're all here today. This is Sprint 1. And as you start to learn these skills, we move into Sprint 2, which is to build upon these skills and help you bring these ideas to life for you personally and in your business. The first challenge is dealing with how to converse with AI. And it's bizarre still. And this is that transformative shift where all individuals are using ChatGPT and the likes as a replacement for Google and asking and communicating in quite a vague way. So for those that know how to structure a prompt, this is going to be reinforcing that position. For those that don't, this is going to be insightful. Think about, go back to the genie in the lamp. Everyone loves a bit of animation and Disney. I certainly do. But you wouldn't be vague when you asked a genie for a wish, as you get something very, very different and very, very not along lines of what you want. You're very specific. You got to think that way when you communicate with AI and generative AI and the likes. So you need to structure your prompts effectively and very precisely to get the outcome that you need. Start to think of AI and generative AI as more of a creative partner, not a tool. Right, not something that just is at the side that you use now and then. It becomes a part of the flow of your work and is your creative partner. And the more that you learn to converse, the more results you're going to get, the more time you're going to buy back. All right, so we know as of September, before OpenAI, for example, launched the search integration with things like Google and Chrome and Edge rather, there were 3 billion visits to OpenAI alone in September globally, which is crazy if you think back to the Google days, right? And we know that individuals are continuously looking for that conversational engagement. If you think of the tools like Gemini and things like Siri on iOS and those devices, people are really starting to get used to communicating with AI in that conversational fashion. And I'll show you some of that today, how you can bring that out of the realms of Android and iOS into the world of your business and your apps and your websites and the likes. So I've got some use cases that I'll cover today to show you how some things work. And there'll be a lot of showing you how this works for real, so you can actually get a taste for it and say, I want some of that. How do I do that? And of course, we can help you with that moving forward. So first one, in no particular order, we're going to do some bits and pieces around generating data for financial services. So we're going to create some content, some employee data, and then we're going to leverage some tools like Copilot to create some narrative around that data, some business narrative, do some Excel manipulation, again, using plain natural language, make some amendments, and then update that narrative. So as a CFO, looking at some data, you can get a meaningful narrative really, really quickly from raw data. We'll look at just a real quick prompt in around what are the best ways to help, how AI can help improve maintenance in manufacturing, for example. Right, so again, you can use these tools, as you see, to build upon your knowledge. Then we've got a couple of chatbots, enhanced customer support with AI chatbots. Now we have one of these on one of our landing pages that you can go to straight away and have a chat with Arlo. I've created one at the bottom there called Eric that is for virtual health assistant. So we'll show you that in two fashions. One is prompting like you would do in Copilot or GPT or Anthropic. And we'll have a quick conversation with the bot, and I'll show you how quickly you can pull that together. So there's some sort of widespread use cases. Some of the tools I'm going to use today, this is probably the first one you might want to take a note of, which is called AI Prompt Genius. Now, as part of attending this webinar, we'll send you a link afterwards with a short video of how to get that get AI Prompt Genius integrated into Edge or Chrome. But you'll see me use that exclusively, and you'll see how quickly we can work with prompts and reuse and recall prompts and integrate questions into them and the likes. In the middle, we have Copilot in both its free in Edge experience and a licensed, fully Copilot licensed user. So you'll see some Copilot, of course, used today. And on the right is ChatGPT. They're the main tools that we're going to use. So let's get into the basics of prompting. There's a lot on that page, but all I really want you to focus on is these top 3 green sections, which is act in as a role, create a task, and show a format, show as. So whenever you write a prompt or you're starting and you want to get a result, if you start with, you know, I want you to act as an ice hockey coach or a basketball coach or the world's leading basketball coach or the coach of whatever is your team, your favorite team, you're making it very specific and very focused. You could equally say act as a CFO or a CEO, but you're telling the model who to act as and where to focus its knowledge and attention. Now, the next piece is to create a task. What do you want that persona now to do for you? This is where you are asking for your thing that you would otherwise have put in Google. This is, I want you to go and research this team's win rate or whatever your scenario is for the last season, and I want you to give me some analysis of X, Y, and Z. And then the final piece is, how do you want that given back to you? You can say, please give me that in a list, give me it in a bullet or in a table or in a PDF or as a docx file that I can download, for example. So here's an example of what that looks like for real. So the prompt is at the bluish color box. So act as a CFO for a financial organization. Your job is to analyze the data in the document, which I will provide, create a narrative to support the data and provide suggestions for sharing with shareholders, investors, and executive leadership team. Provide the output in a Microsoft docx document I can download. Now you see, because that was specific and it followed that framework, you get this response. I'll be happy to help with that. Please go ahead and upload the document contained in the data. And it's going to tell you what it's going to do. So now this is conversational. It's not give me this and I'll give you that. And it's not vague. All right. So what we'll do is I'll show you some of this for real and we'll use some real prompts. So I'm going to start with that one. So Arlo Inkwell, you met earlier, my avatar. He's a CEO for an organization called Inkwell Dynamics. So for everybody on this session, just apply Inkwell Dynamics to your business and we'll go through these motions. So to start with, I'm just going to really quickly use ChatGPT to create me a example data set of employees for Inkwell Dynamics. So this is the first time you're going to see me use AI Prompt Genius. All right, now what I need to do, all I need to do here is go and click on these tiles. And again, during Sprint 2 and the video you'll see afterwards, we show how to create this and set this up and how these prompts are put together. But all I have to do is click that tile and you'll see prompt copied to the clipboard in the bottom corner. It's pretty quick. But now when I come to GPT and I start a new chat here, I can quickly get what I asked for, which is a example data set. Now you can click on the analyzing piece or not. If you want to see what's happening, if you click that, it's telling you what it's building out for us. And that's the code to do it. You don't need to worry about this code. It's being all done for you. When it's finished, it will give us a document for us to download. There's the file path. And now we'll get the document that we can download. Here we go. Now, for this to work, I'm going to use Copilot. For this to work, Copilot needs the data to reside in 365 or OneDrive within Microsoft. So all I'm going to quickly do, I've opened it in Excel. I'm just going to click Share, which will let me move this document into OneDrive, which I'm okay with it to be in OneDrive. And when I upload it, there'll be one there already. It's now in OneDrive and I can use Copilot. So if I now close Excel, and I'm going to just jump to a different window. I have Excel here open in the browser, just for a browser experience. And for Copilot, you can do this in the normal client, but I do it in the browser. So there's my file. There's the Inkwell Dynamics content. It's a spreadsheet, just like we asked for, with a whole bunch of random non-existent people for us to actually do some work with. All right. Second thing we need to do real quick for those that work in Excel is that the data needs to reside in a table for Copilot to work with it. So we're just going to add that to a table. So now we have our data in a table. Now this is where the power of generative AI comes into play. Imagine the CFO now gets this data for the first time. It's the first day of starting or first week and wants to understand what's our employee demographic look like. Right, with it, help me understand our people. Right, so quickly we're able to go and grab another prompt that will be create a narrative for this data set. So again, click the tile, we've got our prompt. We enter that in Copilot, bottom right corner of the screen, if you can see that okay. So all I've said in natural language is act as a CFO and create a narrative to support this data for sharing with shareholders, investors, and the executive team. And it will analyze the data there, and it will give us a usable narrative very quickly in natural language and an understanding of the breakup of these individuals. So what I'm showing you here is the speed at which you can get from creation of data, or if this is an existing data set, a very quick understanding of what's there without having to give it to somebody and get them to say, tell me a story about this data. So real quick, you see that on the right, it's dear shareholders, investors, and executives, and there's the breakdown. Now what we're going to do is we want to do just a couple of little manipulations to this data. And if I grab the next prompt, just basically highlight and sort some cells. And what we're going to do here is, as you can see in the prompt, just format column J as currency, highlight the top 5 highest earners and the bottom lowest earners in a certain color, and then sort by order. So rather than having to go around Excel and use all these different features and functions, if we just run that as a natural language request in Copilot, you'll see that it will do exactly what we asked. It's going to tell us what it's going to do. It's going to apply it. When I click apply, we'll see column J will change to currency. Then it will start to do the highlighting and everything else, right? So it's doing all this real quick for us. The last thing we'll do is CFO might say, well, I want to run a scenario where we want to look at everybody under 30 and look at their compensation. So if we jump and run this last prompt against this data set, is I want to create a compensation column, which is this next prompt. All right. So again, I know I'm repeating this. Repetition is the mother of skill. In Sprint 2, we'll get into how these prompts are created, because it looks like a bit of a dark art. I click a button, I get a prompt, but we'll show you this a little bit of this in Sprint 2. So now we're going to create a new column. Oh, let me just stop that for a second. I want to just make sure that the data is still everything is selected in the table. So we include everybody. And now I want to create a new column of what the total compensation for workers under the age of 30, if they receive the pay rise for 5% a year over the next 5 years. That could be any scenario that you want to use against this data. But you can run that, and very quickly, quite a complex formula that you would otherwise have to write, we get a compensation column. Now we could go and format, I'm not going to do that now, we could go and format that as currency as well. But the very last thing I want to do is update our narrative now to include what it means for the younger folk against that pay rise. So I'm going to create a compensation narrative for that data set. Right. So if I put this here now, it's going to go now and update our main narrative with specifics about the approach for the organization for a compensation plan for employees under 30 over the next 5 years. Right. Now, Copilot often does this. I can't do this just yet, but it will do it anyway. Just one of those nuanced things, right? So you're going to get, I know the screen jumps while it creates, but it's going to actually now add information around a compensation, a strategic plan for future salary increases, critical for driving our company's success and achieving our long-term objectives. All right, so you can now take that, paste that, and you've got a story generated real fast from raw data that you're able to manipulate and use. So hopefully that's got some things going in people's minds as to, wow, that's impressive from a time perspective, of time I can buy back. Right, this is the first virtual assistant I'm going to show you. Now we can do this two ways. I'm going to show you the prompt way, and then I'm going to show you how different it is when you can have a conversation, and hopefully the conversation comes across the right way on the microphone. But we've got a prompt for act as a virtual health assistant for a clinic and just specify your, let's just jump back to the right window here. Specify your ailment, if you like. So if we go to healthcare assistant, so what's a specific inquiry? I have a sore throat, right? Very basic, but we copy that. And in the GPT or Copilot world, again, in a new chat, we could just type this prompt: act as a virtual assistant for a healthcare clinic, respond to a patient asking about I have a sore throat, providing accurate information and next steps. So this is what you can expect from a GPT type response very quickly, right? Which again, specifics when we talked about crafting a prompt, if you went to Google and asked for that, you'd get stacks of different web pages and references and everything else. Here we can get very direct information. If we now jump to the same kind of question, but in a voice chatbot experience. Now this is 11 Labs again, the platform, and this is what's called an agent, and it's a conversational agent. So now I have this little box in the right-hand corner at the bottom here called Eric. Chat to Eric for health advice. Now, when I click start, this is what should happen. Hey, Eric, I have a sore throat. Can you help?
Oh no, a sore throat is no fun. I'm sorry to hear that. It sounds like you might have a common cold. I can definitely help. First, I need to ask a few questions to get a better idea of what's going on. How long have you had the sore throat? Are you experiencing any other symptoms like a runny nose, cough, or fever?
Now, I won't continue and answer those questions, but you can continue on in that vein by having a conversation with Eric, and he will continue to wind down. And ultimately, at the end of that conversation, he's going to give you guidance as to what you can do. Now, that is connected to specific knowledge that I just generated a list in ChatGPT. Give me a list of 100 most common ailments, if you like, and give me that with ailment, symptoms, and treatment, and give it to me in a PDF, which we gave Eric as his knowledge. But also connected Eric, if I quickly show you, Eric is also connected to healthdirect.gov.au, which is a public website for health information. So what it can't get from my 50 illness symptoms and treatments PDF, it'll go and get directly via a call to that website. All right. So again, things like these chatbots, if you train them on your knowledge for your specific business or area of focus and train them with your IP and with the right type of information, people can hit your website, have a conversation and get results fast, which means ultimately they get to your services or products, or they get the result they need, or you get the result you need much, much, much quicker. All right, let's move on to maintenance efficiency. So again, the prompt there is on the right. Where you see things in the orange curly brackets, like industry type, that's when you see me answering a question when I'm using AI Prompt Genius. So you build that into the prompt in the backstage. That again, during Sprint 2, we help you understand how to do all of that and help you craft out your prompts and provide you a prompt starter pack so you can get moving real fast. So if we now look at that kind of scenario, we want to use the prompt that is maintenance optimization. So if I click this one, what type of industry are we in? So let's just say we're in avionics, for example, avionics. Again, as same as before, prompt copied. This time I'm going to use ChatGPT just to keep it mixed up a little bit. Sorry, Copilot, just to keep it mixed up a little bit. You notice at the top, I've got this work web slider. That's because I'm a Copilot licensed user. If you're not licensed, you won't see this. It will just be Copilot. But if you are, the only nuance there is when I switch to the work side, it now focuses all the results primarily on my data in my tenant and my information. And that's the grounding. And then it augments that with information from the web. But if I stay on the website for now and I ask this maintenance quote prompts, I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. The prompt there is, you're a manufacturing maintenance specialist with a strong understanding of how AI models and agents can help analyze equipment, data, and predict maintenance needs before failures occur. Your job is to analyze the industry of avionics and research areas in which AI could reduce downtime, extend equipment lifespan, and optimize maintenance schedules. Now, as with all things generative AI, human in the loop is critical. Right? So if you are happy to, any of you happen to be in the avionics industry, you're going to look at this and understand exactly what comes out is going to make sense to your organization, and you can add your industry knowledge or your expert knowledge. Right, so give me a moment and I'll compile this information. So whilst it's doing that there in Copilot, I'm going to do the same thing just so we don't get held up waiting. Let's go put it in GPT as well. All right, now that experience you just saw there where the screen just split and it's now a page on the right and the chat on the left, for those that have seen this, This is a relatively new experience in ChatGPT called Canvas. So it makes it easier to work with information as it generates. Whereas GPT, the standard 4.0 model, when you create something and you want to edit things, it recreates the entire content. Here we can go and have it update just a specific area, which once this is done, I can show you real quick. But straight out the gate, if we're going to sit down and brainstorm how we can leverage AI in avionics to improve maintenance, and again, using that same analogy, buy back time in the right way by doing things cleverly with AI and with consideration. Here we get the output and some further reading of, looking at digital twins for aerospace and defense, AI and aviation, and so on, right? So all the way through, we've gotten some real good information, an introduction, key areas where AI can benefit avionics maintenance, and the like. So you got a whole bunch of information there. Let's just see how our friend Copilot is still doing his thing. Let's just hit that again, because I wanted to show you pages real fast from a collaboration standpoint. So here we've got, I'm going to use a different prompt to show you Copilot pages, because this is an area where individuals and teams, when we talk about collaboration and brainstorming and expediting outcomes, pages is where you can collaborate with a group of people to get results. And I'm going to use a different prompt in a minute. I'll come back to pages and show you. All right, so the outcome of that maintenance schedule is all there. We could take that, work on it in 4.0 Canvas here in GPT, where we've got this introduction. If you wanted to update this or get more detail, this is where Canvas is a little bit different. So this is not meant to be a Copilot, so a GPT training course right now. But there you could put there and say, explain this further, and it will update just that section rather than updating the entire output. All right, so let me jump back here. So again, that's a use case to get information quickly in and around how you can expedite outcomes. Here's another one real quick. This one's a relatively straightforward and quick one. This is aimed again at in the world of finance. And let's just say that in that world, you need to be able to take a financial report, ingest that, understand it, and create a narrative from it that you can then use to create the next report for another organization, or use that as a basis. So really quickly, what we do here is we will use let's grab this one. Where are you? Right in here. So example. You are create content, collaborate, act as a role, follow-up prompt. You're in here somewhere. You guys jump around. Or maybe not. Maybe not. Let's do that instead. Let's do finance. Narrative. Let's use this one. Let's use this one. Sorry, that was a bit defined, but let's use this one. So here, I'll do a new chat again in GPT. And I want you to act as a chief financial officer and use a document I provided to give an overview of the organization. Now, I'm just going to add a file here, which is Apple's financial report from last financial year. Right, as you can imagine, those that have seen financial reports, quite detailed, quite a lot of information, but publicly available. So if I add that file and use that prompt, what I want now is the output of this report given to me in a way that's consumable and easy to understand, or for me to leverage, or to create, okay, same way we did in Excel, right? To create a detailed narrative of what's in quite a complex document. And then you reuse that information in the next piece of work that you do, or in your flow of work. So same as before, this is going to now actually go and create a document that we can download. and we can leverage. And once we've got it, we can then use it to collaborate. And then I'll move on to brainstorming and ways in which you can use these tools to get brainstorming off the ground real quick. Whilst that does that, I'm just going to get this next piece up ready. And then we'll get the output from there. And some recommendations, it will give us the document to download. So that was analyzing an existing document and then giving it to us in a format that's simplified, that we can use and share with the wider business. So like greatly simplified, taken all of that data, all of that information, broken it down, given us a comparison and a summary of recommendations from what was in that report. So you could take an existing set of statements, existing set of financial reports, analyze them and get a summary and recommendations on how to improve and what suggestions there may be to improve situations potentially. Furthermore, though, once you open this as a Word document in Word with Copilot, you then get the opportunity to summarize it even further. So Copilot will look at what's in the document and then give you an even slimmer narrative as to what's there. So like if somebody said, hey, how does last month's report look? You could just take this first statement and say it highlights a 3% decline in net sales, a slight drop off in net income and reduced operating cash flow really quickly from the same sorts of things. So again, I want to show you that use case because a lot of the heavy lifting can get done for you just by giving the information and getting the results back. All right, so let's now shift gears slightly to agents, and then I want to talk a little bit about whiteboarding and brainstorming. So when I say agents, everything you've seen so far has been around generating and creating content. All right, creating information and very much creation of activities and creation of outcomes. But this agentic world that we live in now, the question is starting to become, okay, but how do I now have generative AI or AI in general take action for me, right? How can I get it to do things for me? So if effectively have something generated and have an agent do something with it and potentially hand it off to another agent. So this is why the term agentic comes from. And what you'll see is the proliferation of agents already. That screen there shows a whole lot of agents that are available right now, just within Teams. If you're licensed with the Teams Premium or you've got a Copilot license, you get the agents section on the top right, and then you can say discover agents, and it's going to give you this big list. That's within Copilot. If you're in the GPT world, you can use and create your own agents, and you can connect them to other services. So that one, for example, there is an investment assistant, and all that really does is asks you for the stock ticker. And then once you give it the stock ticker, it's going to go and ask for permission to go and talk to a platform called relevance.ai, which will then go and get the financial information from, say, Yahoo Finance and give you the live real stock price. So that's an example of a generative prompt asking a question for a stock ticker that's then going to take action and go and get you a result. So the chatbots that you saw earlier, Arlo and Eric, they are an example of an agent where it's actually doing something for you. And those agents can move beyond just answering questions. They can go as far as, would you like me to book a follow-up meeting? Would you like me to book you in for this next session? Would you like to jump into Sprint 2 and give you the QR or give you the registration code or actually book the meeting for you? All right. And another one, and I go, the intent, this session is quite intensive and there's lots of information and I get that. The intent though is to try and spark the levels for the prompt rookies and the prompt pros, keep that spark alive and say, how can I take this, help me understand how I can use these things and bring them to life in my organization. So prompt coach is a really powerful one. And that's again, it's an agent in Teams that will let you take a prompt that you've written and then do one of these things with it, analyze the prompts and tell you how it can be improved, check it for compliance, or you can start from scratch. So prompt generation, this guy, when you click this guy, it's going to ask you questions about what do you want the prompt to do. So for those prompt rookies who've never done this before, whether you do, if you have a Copilot license, then you can jump into Prompt Coach, or there are similar tools and prompts available. Of course, we can help you too, that are available within the open source and the OpenAI world to ask you questions to get you the result and the prompt that you want. So agents are coming, agents are continuously developing. Before I jump into the tools that we've used today, so you get an idea of the types of tools we use, I wanted to talk a little bit about Whiteboard. Now, Whiteboard is Microsoft's whiteboard, you know, limitless whiteboard. It can grow as big as you need it to be, as big as you need it to grow. But one of the things that we find in conversation is when someone has a great product idea or a great suggestion or a great go-to-market or whatever the scenario is, the speed at which they can execute on that is somewhat challenging, because of people's time, getting people together, being able to meet the market where it is in a timely fashion, or just getting the ideas out of people's heads. So here, if we use a basic prompt, let's just get rid of finance at the top there, and say, I want to, let's just say I'm in a managed services organization and I want to brainstorm how I can bring more value to my teams, my service delivery managers and the clients and everybody that we love and support. We can jump into Whiteboard and click this suggest box. So open Whiteboard. Whiteboard is part of your Microsoft 365 tenant. It's within the tile with all of your apps. You just grab Whiteboard. And with a Copilot license, you get this suggest box. So if I change this to say, I am based in, let's say, New York, just for fun, help me brainstorm ways in which I can bring innovative AI solutions to my existing clients and add massive value to change their lives. All right, so use this prompt in a fashion, no matter what industry or role you're in, and be specific about what you want. Now, straight out the gate, we've got some ideas. All right, so now we've got some ideas. We say, okay, implement predictive maintenance. Same thing, we can click that one tile and say, suggest. It's going to give us some more. All right, so hopefully you get where I'm going with this. You can build out these different things. Optimize asset management. We can build out, continue to build out. Where the collaboration comes into play and where the powerful parts come to play in this is when we now highlight all of these and categorize them. So I highlighted everything and then it pops up and gave me the prompt to categorize. Now we break it down into sections. So we've got AI and maintenance, AI and analytics, AI and customer support and the likes. Now, if I wanted to invite the team to work with me on this, I could say, let's share this with the two individuals on the call on our call today. I could say, Itzik, and let's say, Jody, please update maint and support. Jody support, all right, for example. And they want to send that, these two individuals or team members are going to go and get an invite. And if they're in a position to, you'll see them jump into this board and they can start doing what we need to do in their area. So if we were running this as a brainstorming session, I would say we've got everyone in the session. We're going to now break off and actually really now focus down in on these areas. I would set a timer for 5 minutes and then Jody would now go work on his area. Itzik would go work on his area with his team and we'd come back after 5 minutes or 40 minutes, whatever the timer is. And these areas would be built out. But the trick here is that you'll see Itzik and Jody in there now moving around, which is great, right? So the heavy lifting was done at the outset. We're able to get these ideas off the ground quickly and spark the energy in the team so that they are like, right, yes, that makes sense. Or no, tell me more about that. They can start to vote them up, change the titles, start to add commentary around them, move them around, and so on. When the timer kind of is as a facilitator, once everybody's had their time, I would click the follow me and bring everyone back to me. So I kind of take control again and say that time's up and everyone's done their thing. And then as a group, we then focus on, right, now let's eliminate the ones that are not going to fly. Let's bubble up, let's upvote or look at how people voted across the board for these different topics and areas. And now we have something that we can actually go and execute. So I think it was Jody made that one, optimize asset management, need to explore this more. So he's made that red, so it's prominent. There's an action and activity there and it's got a like, so people have agreed that that's where we need to focus. So this is real quick again, buying back time to get what would otherwise be a whole bunch of people in a room for quite significant time together and maybe not get as even at the end of a day to a result as deep and meaningful as what you can do quickly by getting that some of that lifting done for you. Right, so that's in white pages. Now I said I'd show you really quickly the editing pages function with it. Again, this is a Copilot capability. But if we used a new chat here, again, this is a collaboration time saver, and it'd be remiss of me not to show you this. But if I just said, I need to actually, let's use that same prompt. And let's just change that again to in New York. Use exactly the same prompt here. But instead of being in that brainstorm mode, now we want to be in a document where we can collaborate and work on a document. Right. So we've got our responses. What you get at the bottom is this edit in pages button. When you click this, you're not seeing my screen. Wait a second. Let me stop share and share again. Share. Desktop 1. Share. Can someone let me know if that's good again? If I can just see a thumbs up in the chat, or someone can just let me know you can see the screen okay?
Good. Looks good.
All good. Excellent. So now on the right, we have what's called a page. Now, same as before, here I can just really quickly, under predictive maintenance, use a call out. Call out is just a function in this page. Again, we cover this further in the subsequent sprints, but puts a pin there for somebody. Now I can say at Jody, please update this section. Update this section, right? By, and then a date, and then say today. Now, when I click plus, very similarly to what you saw in pages in the whiteboard rather, Jody will now get notified about this update that's needed in this section of the document. Now, imagine we've got a team as before. We've got 5 or 10 people that need to work on this piece of content, or 3 or 4 people. You can mention them all throughout the page, and Jody will get a notification. It'll pop up an email. Now, he doesn't have to open or go where I am. He can just edit this directly in the email, and this is a really critical piece. The element or the component opens in Outlook, and he can just edit it right there in Outlook, and it's going to update this page for everybody else. So there he is now. He's editing that section. Now Itik could do the same. If I mentioned Itik, can you get the point? You can mention the group of people. They're now working on the copy for you while you're continuously doing the research you needed to do on the left-hand side. And when it's all done and dusted, we can bring that into a Word document or whatever your final presentation format is. All right. So again, a real time saver in how you can generate content and work together to get results in a collaborative way. Now, hopefully you can see the tools page again now. I can't see that over there. I think you can. What you've seen today to deliver a lot of what's possible, you've seen a bunch of different tools used, from the avatar you saw from the outset, Arlo Inkwell, through to some of the chat conversations. We've used some Chat GPT. We didn't use Anthropic today, which is Claude's model. Anthropic is the brand or the logo, and Claude is their model. AI Prompt Genius you've seen use. Copilot, HeyGen is what creates the avatar. Veed for video editing, Midjourney for images, and 11 Labs. So they're there so that you just know what they are. If you're asking the question as to how was all of that done, there's a table and a list of the tools. So when you look at these things and you sort of start to think about it, where are they? You'll get this list post the session. You can go look at these tools and look at ways in which you can leverage them within your own lives and your own organizations. So we know, given all of that, some of the use cases, and I hope those use cases really did spark some ideas in your heads. And if any of those use cases bubble up, feel free to put them in the chat. Anything that comes to your mind as to, wow, or can we could it do this? Can we use it here? Engage in the chat if possible. That'd be really, really helpful. And then you'll start to spark that innovation. But across the organization, it doesn't matter where you sit in the organization. Generative AI and creative AI is going to impact and empower every user. It doesn't matter what your role. If you can embrace this and get off the ground and build upon, for the prompt pros, build upon where you're at and really accelerate what you're doing. And from the prompt rookies, don't be afraid of this. Embrace it. right? Get started, get off the ground, get running, because I promise you, it will save you so much time and give you back that time to do stuff more creatively or spend more time with family, friends. So you might ask, okay, what does the journey look like from here? Right? What is it? How do we move through this? Now, it's in a lot of aspects, there's lots of things to consider, but if you bring it back to yourself and at an individual level, it really does start with, how do I get the core knowledge? How do I get the core skills so that I can continue to build these use cases, so that when we look at what does an ROI for AI look like in our business, you understand how to bridge that gap that we talked about at the beginning. You can draw a line from your knowledge, your skills, and these types of capabilities directly to a business outcome and a result. And when you stack those up, the ROI conversation becomes really, really easy, because now you've brought back not just your time, a whole business unit's time. The entire organization has brought back a whole amount of time that you can now quantify into dollars and save time and reuse that time for really, really meaningful work. So from sprint 1, the next step is sprint 2. You've heard me talk about it throughout this session. And what sprint 2 is the next logical step. Now, it's not an hour, like today's is meant to be, like really giving you as much as possible in this time we've got. Sprint 2 is a 4-week experience, and it's an immersive experience, pretty much to take you from where you are, give you these tools, identify those use cases, and then using these tools, really and truly bring those to life in your organization, whatever that use case that you've seen today may be. And we work on 2, 3, or 4 of those, and we end up getting to a conversational chatbot as well, which is a lot of fun. But it's over 4 weeks. You got week 1, which is full immersion, more of today, but more focused on a specific area on one of your use cases. The following week, week 2, is all around feedback. Like what were you able to achieve? How did things work? What walls did you hit? And this is where we run into, and we help you understand how information needs to be structured and governed and secured, and ensure that you're doing things in a meaningful way with a respectful and legal and operational AI policy, for example. And then week 3 is further development and dive deeper and continue to develop those use cases and those results and those outcomes. And then finally, week 4, we wrap everything up and we talk about what you can do with everything that's there. Now, of course, this comes at a cost as an investment. But here's our offer today for everybody that's been through this sprint, because for me personally and for our organizations jointly, we're passionate about ensuring we continue to bring this enablement and continue to help you grow. So for people attending this webinar, we've bundled this. This is the first time we've done this, bundled these things together, and then looked at how we can deliver those in a super meaningful way within that 4-week sprint series. So if you were to do the 4-week sprint on its own, that's usually $21,750. We then deliver a prompt mega pack, which is everything we used you see me use today, everything we use in the 4-week sprint, and everything we develop as a result of it. We give you those prompts in a pack that you can use in AI Prompt Genius or Prompt Buddy or whichever platform we land on to create, share, and manage prompts across your organization. We'll also help you generate an AI policy framework. So really help you frame that out and get that right for your organization so that you can get people to understand how AI is going to be used, especially when you get into meeting management and recording meetings and transcriptions and the things like that. You want to make sure that everybody understands why meetings are being recorded and how they can leverage the net result of the transcription and the time they get back from being able to interrogate that transcription and get the meaningful information they need. And as I said just now, we create a conversational chatbot. So all of that, typically at 4,700, is we've put together a special package for you today. Here's a bit of feedback. Again, you'll get this recording, you can read this. This is some feedback from people that have been through a sprint 1 and through the 4-week sprint. And it ties back for me when I see this, and every time I get one of these, it ties it back to that first statement around Prompt Rookie and Prompt Pro, and where people are using GPTs and generative AI as a replacement for Google and not getting great results. Once they obtain this knowledge, look at some of the feedback here, right? Eye-opening on how I should have been engaging with Copilot and ChatGPT earlier. AI enablement is a must for anyone looking to be effective and as possible in their work and life. the foundation laid in the enablement and skills developed practice since have been completely transformative. And this is a common theme. It's that knowledge and that information to be able to drive across that gap. So I'm really excited to say this offer for Sprint 2, which is available to you today up until January the 31st at that discounted rate. If you're in a position to and you want to register and secure your spot in that, you can hit that QR code or you can reach out to us directly. But if you scan that QR, that's going to take you straight to a registration page where you can register your interest in securing your spot in the next sprint. And as soon as you do that, we'll contact you and we'll get that scheduled for you and get it underway. And if you've got any questions around, you know, the number of attendees at the sprint and everything else, please throw that into the question box. We can come back to that. I've just noticed there, Bill, we have a question whenever you have a pause. What question have we got there, Bill?
We got a question from Greg. It says, what is the risk of using AI with proprietary data?
Awesome question. Awesome question. Right. So the way to attack that is when you're using GPTs in a public way, like ChatGPT or Anthropic or any of those, you would never put proprietary data out into that model. Right? You'd only ask the generative model to pull information. And the minute you've got proprietary IP or secure IP, one of two things. You're either going to leverage Copilot in your organization, and that's going to reside over your governance structure within your data. So if your data's in SharePoint or if it's not, we've got to look at how to get your data in the right place so it's secured and governed and labeled so we know it's proprietary IP. And that way, nobody can share it because now you've got a governance label and a protection mechanism to stop that happening. But once it's there, you've got Copilot, which will work within your tenant in that work capacity. You saw me show that slider, and you're protected. You get a flag and a shield that shows that that data is protected and it's being used within your domain, within your Copilot, and it is not training any other model. And that's a critical point. When you do this with Copilot, the model, any other model within OpenAI in Azure is not being trained on your data. It's locked within your tenant in your space. So part of that Sprint 2 is to understand what your data looks like and help you answer that question more meaningfully. So hopefully if that answers the question, if you can give me a thumbs up. If not, I'm happy to follow it up offline. But that's the way to do it. Don't put anything out into public GPTs that would otherwise, so as you saw me use the Apple report, that's publicly available information. So I can download that, do what I want with it, upload it, it's public information. But proprietary IP, keep that within your tenant, use Copilot and or an on-premises LLM, large language model. All right, well, that's the end of my time with you today. I want to reinforce change takes time and saving time takes change. That was a whistle stop, and I know that was a lot of information, but these things are the
Thank you all for your time and great to hear.
These things are, this is a little thank you from Arlo right at the end. I'll just play this and then I'll pass back to you, Bill.
Thank you all for your time and great to hear from you, Lee. Now you have some momentum and new tools. What's next? Well, we keep sprinting. Scan the QR code to secure your place in Sprint 2. Sprint 2 will allow us to continue our journey together and help you leverage the tools you have seen today to drive new results for you, your business, and your clients. The team will be thrilled to be your guide. Over to you, Boethius.
There we go. That's a thank you from Arlo and a thank you from me. It's been my absolute pleasure to be here to serve you today. Thank you for being here and staying here. I really do hope that you took some meaningful information for this. And Bill and team at XenTegra, thank you too, and Chase and everybody else for giving me the time and the experience to be with you today. Back to you, Bill.
Thanks to you, Lee and Jody and Arlo for contributing today. Really good information. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us today. And if you have any questions or interested in Sprint 2, then head to the website with the QR code or reach out to any of us and we can arrange to get you connected to further your knowledge and education around all things AI. Thank you all, and this is the end of the webinar. Have a good day and happy holidays.
Thank you all.